Okay, for the July 25th Conservation Commission meeting, call roll, Christopher Collins,
Here.
Juanita Martinez is absent, Peter Alminas,
Here.
Fred Miller,
Here.
Clarence Jones,
Here.
Frank Ryan,
Here.
and Paul Bongiorni is absent.
Okay. So Alvin, I'm having a little difficulty locating my agenda. What's the first item on the agenda?
So the first item on the agenda is a 12 Sabin Street. They're seeking a request for determination of applicability for work relating to a removal of one tree and pruning of a second tree at the property known as 12 Sabin Street.
Did we get the report? Were we refresh me, weren't we waiting for a report from the forester, or is that where we left it off?
Yes, so I did receive an email today from Alex Sherman, the forester, city forester, and he did give approval for the removal of that one particular tree.
Okay. All right, and then I think and remind me if I'm wrong, Robert, Linda, that was the only item that we had left unanswered from the last time we had a public hearing, isn't that correct?
I believe so, yeah. Everything else there was that one tree that we were waiting on the park commission's determination.
Okay. Do any other commissioners have any additional questions regarding the application, that now that the forester has given his approval for removing that one tree that we were waiting on?
Bill, on the agenda, it's a removal and a trimming. Do we know more about the trimming?
Yeah, at the last meeting, we had a plan in front of us that there were trimming branches off of a different tree that had died. A lot of branches had died. And so they're only trimming that tree. They were leaving it there.
Thank you.
And there were a couple of there were others that they were trimming some branches off, but not removing those trees. Is my memory correct, Robert and Linda? Yes.
Right.
I remember when we had pictures of the property, so I can envision that.
Right. Okay. Are there additional questions? Okay, then we can close the public hearing. Alvin, do you have an order prepared, or?
I do not have, I'm not sure if Bill prepared one. I don't have a receipt of it.
Okay, my guess is it would be a standard order. And if there was any particular, anything that would have been added to it, it would be that you were getting a vendor to do the tree trimming, correct?
Pardon me?
You have someone to do the trimming and the removal?
Yeah, that's Wallace Tree Service.
Wallace Tree Service, that Wallace be provided the plan that shows the trees that you asked for permission to remove and trim, that be provided to Wallace prior to the work beginning.
You mean by us?
Yes,
Okay.
because I don't think he's got it.
Well, he had given us a written estimate that indicated, I believe, which trees were going to be affected, which ones were trimmed and which ones were cut down. Did we submit that to you? I thought I sent.
I think that was the cost, but you submitted a plan that actually had X's on it where the trees in question were. Did that come from him or from you?
The photos came from me.
And that's what indicated which trees, right?
Right, there were actual photos of the trees and highlighted. Well, I don't know if I don't think I highlighted which branches were to be trimmed. Just indicated which trees. There was the oak tree which was going to come down, and he said we should take down the pine tree at the top of the hill also, and then the rest would be trimming. I don't think that they were specifically marked as to the trimming.
Okay, but did we have a plan or just pictures? I'm trying to remember
Just,
the documentation.
and the estimate, I believe he had indicated the oak tree and the pine tree removal and trimming of the other oak tree. And,
Okay,
but I'm not sure if I had submitted that. I thought I did to Phil.
I'm pretty sure, I know I saw something. So we just want to make sure that Wallace is aware that that's the only work that's approved. That no additional work is approved.
Right. Which would be the removal of the one oak,
Correct.
the trimming of the other oak,
And the removal of the pine, I believe, right?
Because that's already dead, the pine tree.
Right. So just to make sure that he knows that that's the only work.
okay, which was what we originally discussed with him. And,
Okay. Then I guess we could issue a standard order of conditions for this work, and then Phil can print it up for us. And that way that would prevent us from having to hold another meeting just to do the order. With the one proviso that the permitted work be reviewed with Wallace prior to him starting the work. Okay?
okay, review would be between he and I.
Yes.
Okay,
We would have, if we had our person working, we would have Wallace review it with him, but right now we don't have a staff person, so. Okay?
okay,
So if someone would like to make a motion to issue a standard order with the one additional order that the work be reviewed, the approved work be reviewed with Wallace Tree Service prior to the beginning of work, then I will entertain that motion.
I so move.
Thank you, Frank. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Alvin, if you'd call the roll?
Yes, Commissioner Collins,
Yes.
Commissioner Alvenus,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
I think he's saying yes. You're muted, Fred.
Quick question, being that I wasn't here for the initial talk about the tree, is it as simple as it looks, that just cutting down a tree and it's it? And
It was pretty simple. There were two trees and they were clear in the pictures. One was dead. One was an oak that we wanted the forester to look at. And then there were the other trees. The pictures were very clear. It was pretty
Okay.
simple.
So it's cut and dry, so
Yeah.
yes. Yes for me.
thank you. Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Ryan,
Yes.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Robert and Linda. They'll get that printed up and we'll get it signed for you. So that you can get the work done.
great. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Very well.
Alvin, what's the next item on the agenda?
Well, the next item is a request for determination of applicability for work relating to the construction of an external staircase to an existing structure at the property known as 100 Brackmall Ave.
Right, that's the fire training center. And who's here to present that?
Deb Colbert with Niche Engineering. May
Okay,
I share
Share
a
your-
screen?
sure.
Can everyone see this?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I have a frog in my throat. So what has happened here, the fire service training facilities. And there's a live burn building that was built back in 2016. And they want to add this staircase outside of it. And the staircase is outside of the 100-foot buffer to the river and water and wetland protection. area. However, it is in the floodplain area, but we are not decreasing the floodplain capacity whatsoever. We had done some calculations and work on the site. We've been there twice already. We, again, I apologize. Back in 2016, the fire training facility was built and an extensive NOI was written and has been completed, and the order of conditions and the certificate of compliance have been recorded. And then in 2019, the rescue building was built. And at that point in time, there was a RDA that was filed and approved. And that certificate of compliance has also been recorded and completed and approved. Back in 2016, we were doing some work. We needed to do some floodplain capacity, I'm coming up with bad words, but we needed to provide additional compensation for some work in the floodplain. So the existing flood storage back then was 1681 cubic feet. The current flood storage volume that we had provided back then was 1797, which is above and beyond the existing flood storage. And we've calculated, so the footings that are going on to support this staircase is really only going to be taking away 10 cubic foot of storage in the floodplain. I can show you. So here is the wetlands. I'm sorry, I jumped ahead. Wetlands, 50-foot buffer, 100-foot buffer. And this is the land subject to flooding, edge of the 100-year floodplain. This is the building, this is the addition. These are coil waters for wattles for sediment control. And then we have catch basins that also have inlet protection. I can show you the design for the stairs. They are going to be put on concrete piers. These two concrete piers are going to be flush with existing elevations there. And then these 4 concrete piers are going to be approximately 4 inches or 6 inches above the ground. So that's where we overestimated and calculated the additional 10 feet of capacity of floodplain that we might be taking away. As far as construction is concerned, they are only going to be doing auger construction. They'll be augering through the existing sidewalk for the installation of the concrete piers and providing a minimum of 6 inches of 3/4 inch crushed stone for the base of the piers. And it's pretty straightforward. Happy to answer any questions that you may have.
So Deb, and I know what the 16 was the storage that you had prior to construction before. And then you increased it
Yes.
to 17 something, 1798, is that what it was?
Let me go back.
Yes.
Am I still sharing, right?
Yep,
Right.
1797, it's right there.
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Now, that becomes the new ground zero, right? You don't get to go back to the 16. Is there a way to belly underneath the stairs to make up for that 10 feet that you're losing? Create a hollow in the ground?
And put those piers flush.
No, no,
I-
or just lower the ground a little bit. I mean, if you skim off the ground under that stairway, a little bit below the pier where the ground level is now, you would gain more storage for the whole zone, right?
Right.
And I don't
I-
imagine you'd have to take off much soil to pick up what's necessary.
It really depends on, it depends on the foundation of the building itself. I'd have to go back and look at that. Because there's a concrete pad that goes all the way around the building.
Right,
So maybe what we could do is we could, you know, take part of this away,
yeah, because I mean.
you know, so, right, so there's a big,
Storage Act, yeah, is that your 1797 became the new.
oh, I
storage
see what you're
capacity.
saying.
And if you alter that, you've got to compensate, that's what happens.
Oh,
The way they do the Flood Storage Act, because now they're saying, well, that's the total storage, so you got to stay there. So
I
by
hear
going,
you.
so by going beyond what you needed to the last time, what you did was set a higher.
Kind of messed
I-
us up for this one. Well, good thing we're only doing a tiny little bit on this one.
That's right.
Yeah, I definitely see what you're saying, and maybe we could definitely make that happen. We'll just have to go back and, you know, we can cut the slab down. Because that's all a big concrete slab. We could probably definitely cut it down somewhere either here or back here, definitely. And
Just to
and
make up for the
create,
storage.
put it go back, I'll get it back to 1797.
Right,
And if
'Cause
you could
that's-
put that in as an order of conditions, I'd appreciate that.
sure. Because didn't the state say something about reviewing it in their comments to you? Or was that just a letter to us?
No, their
Or did they say
comments,
there was one that wasn't, a certificate hadn't been filed on one of them?
right, that was the only comment that he had in regards to paperwork. And I was
Okay.
able to send them and find the recorded certificate of compliance and for the one that he couldn't find online. And I sent that to Phil.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so
So then we would just add an order.
to
Actually,
maintain,
we can find, actually, because you're asking for a determination of applicability.
yeah, like, is it
So
really?
we could do that. It is not applicable as long as the current 1797 cubic feet of storage is maintained.
Yes,
And that would be the end. Then you wouldn't have anything else to file.
perfect. I love that.
Okay. Think that's a cleaner way for you to do it, I think.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Are there any other questions from commissioners? So if with no other questions, Deb, would you unshare your screen?
Absolutely, if I can.
Thank you. If someone would make a motion that this, a determination of not applicable as long as 1797 cubic feet of storage is maintained.
I'll make a motion that a determination of not applicable as long as the current level of storage is maintained.
Thank you, Peter.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Fred. Alvin, if you'd call the roll?
Commissioner Ryan,
Yes,
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes,
Commissioner Almanis,
Yes,
and Commissioner Collins.
Yes. Thank you. I think
Thank
that was the
you.
cleanest way to do it for you.
That was fabulous.
Okay,
We will take
Thanks.
care of it. Thank you. Have a good
Alvin,
evening. Appreciate
well.
your service.
thank you.
Bye.
Alvin, what else do we have?
That is all. So other than those two items, Phil did want me to mention that we are gonna put out the natural resources manager position, I believe, next week. So if you know anyone interested, again, it will be posted next week on the City of Springfield's website.
And for the edification of the rest of the commissioners, the committee down at City Hall, they must have looked at comparative salaries in the area, and they raised what they were paying for the position, because we advertised it twice and didn't get any real takers. And once we started to take a look at what other towns were paying, we realized why we didn't get the takers, that we were significantly under what other towns were paying. Okay, if that is everything, then you had your, was that a raise your hand or a thumbs up from you, Frank? Thumbs up, okay. Then an order, then a motion to adjourn would be in order.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second,
Thank you, Clarence.
you're welcome.
Go ahead, Alvin.
Commissioner Collins,
Yes.
Commissioner Alminas,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
He said yes. He's muted, but he did say yes.
Yes, yes.
thank you. Commissioner Jones
Yes.
and Commissioner Ryan.
Yes.
Well, I guess we got over just the same time as the rain, although I have a feeling it rain's probably not done for tonight, but at least we're not like, what was it, Deerfield that had, what did they have, a foot in 24 hours? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
All righty.
Take
Yep,
care.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Bye.